Okay, we'll get started. So thank you everyone for joining the opening ceremonies. The first thing I want to do is I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsors. The first sponsor is the Litecoin Foundation, actually. So the Litecoin Foundation is a nonprofit dedicated to advancing and promoting blockchain technology, primarily through the Litecoin cryptocurrency. They are our first gold sponsor ever, which is huge. So thank you so much to them. And this is one of their ways of giving back to Bitcoin and the Lightning community. And so we really appreciate their support. So thank you, Litecoin Foundation. Next, we have Vulgar Ventures. They invest in early stage startups focused on Bitcoin and the Lightning Network, currently with over 10 projects in the portfolio, and they are continually growing. So they were also the first people to sponsor us the first Bolt-A-Thon through when we first held our first Bolt-A-Thon. And honestly, like, it was a really big moment for us because, we weren't sure how well the Bolt-A-Thon would be received. And, they were the first one to step up and kind of help us financially and be a sponsor and help us cover the costs. And so they were huge. And so it's really cool. I'm really grateful to have them back join us again for this second round. And, because of that, other virtual hackathons have been popping up. I think like Bitcoin 2019 had one, and then Radar Ion recently had one called Strike, which is cool. And so, yeah, so thank you to Vulgar Ventures for helping us get started on all of this. And yeah, so I also want to let you, venture capitalists are watching. And so hopefully you guys will be able to pump out some great projects and catch some attention through this hackathon. The third sponsor we want to thank is Stackwork. Stackwork is a microtask marketplace where anyone can work from their mobile phone and get paid immediately over Lightning. They're also offering a residency program for the first place winner to the Bolt-A-Thon. And so it's a 1-week residency where you build one project and you get 1 Bitcoin. So that's pretty awesome. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten paid that much in 1 week. So like this, and they're paying for housing and for food. So they're going the whole 9 yards for you. And there's also potentially a travel stipend that you can apply for if you talk to them. And so they also mentioned that while you're at the residency and they really like the project and you are really invested in the project and things are going well, they'll even consider continuing to pay you to work on it. So I'm really excited about this residency. I kind of feel like it's a huge deal and it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so, yeah. And yeah, all right, so let's now get on to the judging portion of it. Let's talk about how your projects are going to be judged. There's going to be 2 rounds. There's going to be 2 rounds of voting. The first round, you guys will have to record 5 minutes of your projects and present it to us, to the judges, and then you will submit them to us, okay? And so you can record your own 5 minutes. Please don't go over 5 minutes. You can record it yourself, or you can contact me or Patrick, and we'll record the project through Zoom, and then we'll have it on file, and then we'll send it over to our judges right after that. So that might actually be the easiest. And please don't send us 1 gigabyte files of your recordings. And then judges, in that first round, judges will score all the projects that get submitted on a scale of 1 to 10 across 3 categories that I'll mention below. And then we'll take the top 5 projects out of that first round, and then we'll have a second round. Round 2 will be a live 10-minute presentation in front of all the panels of the judges. We currently have 5 lined up. And they will score your projects based on what they see, based on the conversations and questions that they ask. And then at the end of round 2, we'll also have the community vote, and they'll vote on their favorite projects. And this will be weighted. Their votes will count towards the scoring, but it will be weighted around 10%. And just FYI, as you guys vote, the votes are coming to the organizers of the Bolt-A-Thon. They're not going to the people who are creating the projects. So just keep that in mind. And we'll all tally all the scores from the votes and from the judges and announce them at 6 p.m. at the closing ceremony. So it's a little bit different from the first round of the Bolt-A-Thon that we did, but yeah, hopefully this will make it a lot easier. Last time, closing ceremonies took forever, or project presentations took forever because everyone went and hopefully we can make it a lot more efficient this time around. All right, so the 3 categories that we are going to talk about are theme adherence, real world use case, and wow factor. It's the same 3 as last time. And then each of those categories will be scored on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? All right, now the theme. You guys ready? I'm gonna share my screen so that I can introduce the theme to y'all. Boom. All right, so the theme for this hackathon 2 is called Hack Earn. Now, I really believe that earning sats is one of the best ways not only for people to get introduced to Bitcoin, but to start working towards like a better future for themselves. And we're starting to see a trend in this ecosystem, in this space of businesses earning Satoshis, earning sats, right? There's FODL, there's Lolly. And so I really think that there's a trend for us to kind of like leverage and to jump on with this theme that could potentially result in like a long-term business, like if it's really, really cool and if it's really well thought out and there's like a good team executing it. And you know, earning sats on chain is a bit rough, and that's why I think Lightning is perfectly suited for an application like this. Okay, and so just to be clear, for Hack Earn, what I mean by earning Satoshis is I want your users to earn Satoshis. I don't want you as the project person to earn Satoshis. Like you can have a revenue model, that's totally fine, no problem there. But there has to be an element in your project where people who use your platform are earning Satoshis. And so that's what, when we talk about theme adherence, that's what we're looking for. Cool? All right, last but not least, I think there are a couple of hackers who still need to team up. So please join us on Slack and feel free to join the Bolt-A-Thon 2 channel. If you need to find other teammates, just say, hey, my name is blank and I'm looking for other teammates to join me. And then you guys, I'll help you try to coordinate and find other people there. Cool. All right, is Ross back on with us?
Yes, yes I am.
Beautiful. All right, so from here on out, we are going to transition to the LNURL Workshop. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
All right, I'm on. Okay, hey guys, I'm Babe. You guys might know me as Babe Code on Twitter, and I'm with Fiat Jaff. We are 2 of the maintainers of the LNURL project. You might know Fiat Jaff from LNTXbot and a lot of other cool things that he's built in the Lightning ecosystem. And I've built, a while ago, I built Lightning Gears, I think, for the last hackathon, the last Bolt-A-Thon. And since then, I've been doing some other stuff and working on LNURL. So one of the things we'd like to demonstrate to you today is LNURL Pay. So you guys might have heard of LNURL through the ability to withdraw Satoshi from a service. But the thing that we've sort of expanded on that protocol is with the ability to pay a service, kind of like how you might pay an invoice, but it's a bit more programmatic in that the service has the chance to say, no, I don't want you to pay me, or it can define the Satoshi amount dynamically, rather than having a static invoice. And this can be useful in scenarios where, say, you might have a QR code on a restaurant table rather than a LCD screen that would display an invoice. And the user could scan that QR code and pay for their meal at a restaurant with just a QR sticker as opposed to displaying an invoice. All right, so I'm going to try sharing my screen now to show you guys what I'm doing. Please work. Please. Share open system preferences. Yes. Oh no, it wants me to quit before it can share my screen. So I'm just going to go away for 1 second, but I'll be back immediately after.
Wait, Ross, wait.
Yep, I'm waiting.
I made you co-host. Try it again.
Try it again. Okay. It says share screen. Desktop. Share.
Yeah, it's shared.
It's shared. All right. Cool. Cool. Can you guys still see my face, or are you just seeing my screen with all the shit on it?
Yeah, we can see your face.
Oh, cool. You can see my screen as well, or just my face?
The screen as well. There's a genie.
Wow. Technology, hey? Okay, cool. Let's just get started. So if you guys want to follow along, the demo app that we're going to do today is LNURL Genie. The URL is up here for anyone following along, which is node-lnurl-genie.now.sh. And you can, when you get there, you'll see the Genie and a QR code. That QR code is LNURL Pay. Now, there's not a lot of wallets that support LNURL Pay yet. It's still, we only sort of I think we finalized the spec maybe like a couple of weeks ago. So if you have Bitcoin Lightning Wallet, you'll be able to try it. But we're going to be demonstrating it in LNTXBot today. All right, so I will open my LNTXBot. I'm going to copy the link for that LNURL. I'll paste it into my LNTXBot. Hopefully this works. Yeah, okay. So the Genie is asking for 465 Satoshis to answer any question that you might have. Okay, so yeah, we'll go along with that. That then walks to my service, and it pays 465 Satoshi invoice all in the background, and then produces a URL that we can go see for the answer to our question. Oh no, but a 500 error. That's unfortunate. Don't know why that's happening. Anyway, we'll go through the code now so you guys can get an idea of how this is working. So LNURL is both server and wallet communication stack. Can I zoom in a bit? Can you guys see the code on my screen, or is it too small?
I can see it fine.
All right, cool. Yeah. So this is, so the first response that you have to give when you're making an LNURL service, you've got to give 2 responses to the wallet, and after you generate your QR code. And your QR code, we'll go to generate the QR code first. Your QR code has to have a Bec32 encoded URL. So in this case, I have created got a URL for my LNURL Pay service, and that's at LNURL-1. And I use my build URL. And so I create an encoding of that string with Bec32, and then I turn that into a QR code over here, the value of the Genie LNURL. So when someone's wallet scans that QR code or follows the link for that QR code, it goes to the LNURL service that I've specified at LNURL1. So now we'll go there. Right, so the first response that we've got to give to the wallets that are now querying, so the wallet, now that it knows the LNURL, first LNURL service to query, will now go query that service automatically inside the wallet. And what it's expecting is a response with a callback for the next URL to call, and then a minimum and a maximum amount of the Satoshi you can send. So we've specified 465 Satoshi as, it's in millisatoshi, so you have to times it by 1,000, but we specified 465 Satoshi as the maximum and the minimum, so that you can't spend any amount except the given amount. We'll put the metadata. Now this is a little bit more difficult one of the more difficult parts of using LNURL is we have to, in order to verify that the we're talking to the same service, we're going to create we're going to pass along the metadata string which will describe like first a description for what your service is going to ask for. So in this case, I'm going to be sending the Genie asks for some stats to answer your question. And then if we look over at LNT export, that's one of the earlier things that he said when we first put in our LNURL. The tag is then the type of LNURL that we're sending. In this case, it's a pay request, which is LNURL pay. And it's a pretty simple service. We're just going to say, if it's not a GET request, don't just respond not found. But if it is a GET request, send the first response with the callback of our server and the path to our next response, which is LNURL2. So now what will happen after the wallet first queries the first endpoint? It will get a response from that with our first response, and then it'll then display the prompt that we saw earlier that the Genie asks some sats. The wallet will then confirm or deny that request. So in our case, we confirmed it, right? So it will then, after we confirm it, that then comes the response. The wallet then follows the second URL link, which is LNURL2. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Now, this is where the service has to generate a LN invoice. Okay. So what we have to do here is we have to take the metadata string that we created in the first response. We've got to stringify it. Then we've got to turn it into SHA-256, and then we've got to turn it into base 64. So that way we can verify the integrity of our service that's coming, that both LNURL, both endpoints are from the same service and they're not from some bad actor. And this is also where I'll be creating my invoice to send to the wallet, or the service will be creating its invoice to send to the wallet. So usually you'll pass along the amount that the wallet will pass along the amount of the invoice in the query that it sends. But because we've specified a set amount of 465 Satoshi, we're not going to listen to that. From there, we'll then create a new Lightning invoice on my Lightning node. And the key part here is the description hash. When you create your Lightning invoice, you can't use a memo. You have to use the description hash. And that's going to be our metadata hash that we created earlier, the base 64 of the SHA-265 of a stringified version of our metadata string, or a metadata. Right, that's crucial. You can get stuck on that like I did earlier. So we create that invoice, we get that invoice, and we'll take the hash, the R hash of it, and the pay request of it. We'll pass the pay request, and our response will pass the pay request as PR. And the second part, which is probably more interesting, is the success action. This is one of the things that we worked on quite a bit with LNURL Pay, is the ability to create an action after the user successfully pays the invoice in their wallet. And this can enable like cool experiences, like after someone pays your service, you could then send them the link to a digital good that they've paid for, right? And that could be a unique URL, or you could send them to some other place where they can redeem what they've paid for, right? Okay, and that's when we pass along a standardized, so the success actions have a standardized format that we have to adhere to. That's on the LNURL RFC, which I'll link to at the end of this. It's specifying its URL, and it gives it a description so that the user can read what the link that they're about to follow. The Genie will answer your question, the Genie will answer your question, and that will be the URL that he sends along. So the URL that he sends along is here. And if you follow that again, we'll go back to that 500 error on my server, which I don't know why that's occurring. Which is supposed to be this page, but yeah, Genie is too tired to answer your question. And that's how LNURL pay works. Fiat Jeff, did you have anything to add, maybe?
People should have questions.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, type them in the chat and I'll ask them and then they'll answer them.
Sure. Sorry, was it easy to understand? I don't know if I spoke too quickly or if it was a bit too complicated. The spec there, if you guys are interested.
Cool.
So on the GitHub, you guys can find the spec for how to work with the LNURL spec between wallets and Lightning services. Down the bottom, you'll be able to find the new LNURL pay, which is probably quite a long one actually, because it's got a lot of functionality into it. That'll have a much more detailed description of how to correctly use it, perhaps better than my presentation. And other cool ways to use success action, which we're pretty excited about. We think that success actions might become more common across, or actions might become more common across other LNURL stuff we'll make in the future.
Cool. One question is, what are some good purposes?
Yeah, the idea is that this.
Go ahead.
But no. Say the question.
Yeah.
What are some good purposes you see?
Yeah, that was
LNURL? Oh wow, the lag time is back. Okay, I'll ask my question first. What are some good purposes you see for using LNURL on real pages?
On real pages. So I think LNURL works great for offline stuff, right? Because you have the QR codes that people can scan easily. So take, for example, if you had like a gumball machine, like you guys, if you played around, or if you've seen some stuff on the internet, you might have seen people making physical services that serve stuff after you scan and after you pay an invoice. And you'll quite frequently see those services using a tablet, right, that generates an invoice and then displays the QR code of that invoice. But that still requires a tablet, which requires a power source, right? And it needs to be connected to the internet as well. Well, what you can do with LNURL Pay, which I think is pretty cool, is you can just put a QR code on a sticker and then stick that to whatever sort of vending machine that you want. And then users can pay that, and then they can verify that they've paid that with the success action or the success or other success types. And that can act as a way for them to interact with physical services without requiring the physical service to have an internet connected tablet that's displaying new invoices over and over.
That's actually pretty cool because invoices expire, right? And so if you have LNURL, it's not going to expire.
Precisely, yeah. So that was the sort of what I sort of came up from. What like my favorite use case is say if you have like a gumball machine, and you would like if you just wanted to make a lightning powered gumball machine, you would flip like a display, and then people would scan the QR code when the gumball machine. The internet connected gumball machine is detected that the invoice has been paid or an invoice has been paid, it would turn around and distribute a gumball. But with LNURL Pay, you could just, without using a tablet, you could just put a QR code sticker. But you could also do interesting stuff like before, instead of allowing someone to pay, you could check whether or not you have enough gumballs inside your machine before you decide to distribute a gumball. So that's going to offer a better user experience than just displaying lightning invoices on a screen over and over. And then if someone scans one of those lightning invoices and then the gumball machine turns around and there's nothing in there, then it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, did you have something to say?
Yeah, another interesting use case is something like this service I'm pasting on the chat. It's a service that allows you to buy some Russian credits for phones and stuff like that. But it allows you to generate LNURL pay links and QR codes that you can store somewhere, and then you generate a QR code for, say, buying $10 of phone credits, and then you reuse that same link every time you want new credits without having to visit the site, like from your wallet directly.
Nice.
And another trivial use case is donation page, like when you have to specify the amount.
Right.
Instead of typing the amount in the service page and then getting an invoice, you just scan a static QR code and you type the amount in your wallet.
Right. Yeah. So there's like a kind of great use cases for LNURL Pay that we're excited to see you guys come up with. Yeah. Well, I think Fiat Jeff will be judging some of the entrants for the hackathon. And I think you'll look very favorably on any of the entrants that utilize LNURL.
No.
No, we're not that biased.
So one guy asked, can you connect it to NFC chips?
NFC chips. NFC is something that we've been talking about quite a bit with the mobile wallets that have implemented LNURL and amongst the guys that maintain LNURL. We think like NFC, because NFC is kind of like, it's still just sending the same data. So it's possible to just send payloads over NFC, like the payloads that that are in the LNURL spec that an LNURL would send over a REST API. It's possible to do that over NFC. It's just that I don't think any of the wallets so far have, or I don't think we've agreed on a standard for it yet. But yeah, it's definitely on the to-do list.
And one person mentioned that he was able to do it on an M5 stack.
An M5 stack.
I'm not sure what that means.
That's the one that BTC Socialist set up, right? I'm not super familiar with it, but it's very, very cool. Maybe, yeah, I think it would be cool if I could demo that. I'll have to get one from him and maybe do another presentation.
All right, well, thanks, Ross. Thanks, Fiat. Closing statements is make sure, I just want to let you guys know that ticket sales are still going through tonight and through tomorrow. And so keep an eye on that. And let's see, any last things? Oh, tomorrow there will be another free workshop at 8:30 a.m. And it's about Polar. It creates a lightweight Lightning dev environment for you. It's perfect for new developers and just for it's like a playground, it's a test ground. So that link should also be in the Bolt-A-Thon 2 channel. Ping me if you need it. And guys, thank you so much for your time. This was great.
Thanks for the opportunity to present it, Andrew. Cheers.